The Civil War dramatically altered the course of American society over the whole country, but especially in the South. This was the beginning of a journey moving from an agrarian to an industrial society in regards to death customs. Due to the high number of lives lost during the Civil War, problems arose relating to the disposal of bodies and emotional dismay and symbolic efforts to show reverence to the people lost. These challenges brought about changes to the previously known death customs. These trends that developed were a permanent change in social culture. The new way of treating the dead formed because families were not able to immediately provide services. The process of embalming came to be a very popular practice to preserve the bodies to be transported home. This paved the way for an entirely new industry of the funeral process. President Lincoln took a great interest in embalming and directed the Quartermaster Corps to utilize embalming to allow the return of the Union dead to their hometowns for proper burial. The funeral process post-Civil War had shifted from a family small-town community fair to a money-making industry. Another feature that started post-Civil War was the public announcement of deaths as a popular read in newspapers as well as in church announcements. The South possesses some attributes that are unique to funeral services. It is common courtesy for passing vehicles to pull over and/or stop as a funeral procession passes. It is seen as a sign of respect for the grieving family. This practice is often confusing to people from other regions, especially because it is not nearly as common as it is in the South. It could be compared to the ancient Celtic attitudes of honor and respect that still live on in this region. It is more common in Southern culture for the casket to stay open during the funeral services. A viewing of the body, often called the wake, is often part of the whole funeral process that is done the day before the funeral for viewing purposes. In the old Celtic days, wakes consisted of drinking to celebrate someone's life. A wake can still be seen as a celebration in Southern culture because happy stories are told and it is a social event. If possible, many old Southern cemeteries follow a feet to east guide. The basis of this is from an old European Christian tradition. When a person is facing the east, the rising sun is seen as waiting for what is next to come. If a married couple is buried together, the husband is buried to the left of the wife. This is not something that is immensely important, but the theory is that ladies first is the notion even when burying. In the Southern culture of honor, men respect women by opening doors, pulling out their chairs, and even till their death being buried in the less important placing. In old Southern graveyards, it was common for them to be scraped or bare of grass. This practice was started to keep livestock out of the graveyards. In most Southern graveyards, you can also find fences around the whole graveyard or even around particular graves. Having a relative's grave trampled or dug up by an animal was seen as an extremely embarrassing action, so when communal graveyards began, fences were put around almost all graves, either individual or by family. Large Southern families are often buried together in family plots. This tradition comes from when Southern burial spots included only the family. As the South became more modern post-Civil War, designated land was set aside for people to be buried. In post-Civil War times, agrarian Southerners had more children, creating a larger immediate family. In the industrialized North, families did not have room, nor did they have extra food, so families were smaller. Cremation is extremely unpopular in the South. The South is very Christian and follows the Bible quite closely. The Bible's book of Revelation says on the day of judgment, the souls departed will rejoin with their bodies to much triumphant fanfare. It is important for the body to exist and not be in ashes. It was not until 1963 that the Pope lifted the prohibition against cremation. Cremation has still not gained popularity in the South. Mississippi and Louisiana are among the states with the least number of cremations still in 2011. Cremation is economically more reasonable, but the South thrives and prevails with its stronghold on social standards. In my hometown of Kiln, Mississippi, a rural area where street names are still named after the people that live on them, my community celebrates All Saints, November 1st, in a unique way that celebrates the dead. People in my hometown spend this day making their graves appealing, putting out flowers, having mass, burning candles on the graves at night, and socializing with friends and family as a happy moment of remembrance. Death customs follow Southern culture closely. In connection to the growth of the South as a whole, death customs have evolved over time. Much like the South, there are aspects that still live on strongly even when the changes of modernizations occur. The South is extremely unique in retaining certain social customs that tend to evolve in other regions more rapidly.
What I can remember about All Saints from way back when, would go up there the day before All Saints and put all the flowers on. Then would get up early that morning and would fix our picnic lunch for the day. We'd all gather at the graveyards. We had all the family graveyards. We'd go to all of them. Everybody in the families, everybody great, it would come for the families. It was tons and tons of people turning out. We'd have food with them, socialize with them. People bake cakes and some would bake pies, and it was just a big get together back then. It's still going on, but it's not as much as it used to be. The younger people just don't participate. Tonight we'd go back to where our Meatley family was buried. Then Enid would have mass. Father would bless the graves and bless all the candles, and we'd burn the candles, and we'd all stand around and talk until all the candles was burned.
I guess you can say many Southerners stay loyal to their Southern heritage till their death.